so we're just going to do a trim today because his missus likes it a bit longer. And we all know who the boss is. So I'm just going to unhook this round one ear, buddy.
Yeah.
So because he wants to leave it a little bit longer and because you haven't got like excessively thick side hair, what we're going to do is just clip over comb around the ears.
Yeah.
And then just taper it up into the section we need to blend.
Yeah.
Right, so Lee's having a stock system fitted, so I think you came in a couple of days ago and we found one that was the right colour, roughly the right shape. Obviously with the stock one, it had a slightly different hairline to this.
Yeah.
I've just cut some of this off the template and it was a bit more kind of curved up and round.
Yeah.
Lee wasn't too keen on that, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut into the lace. Now we don't usually recommend cutting into a lace, as I've explained to Lee, more so because it leaves little tiny dots around the hairline that look a bit dark and maybe a little bit unnatural if you get too close. But Lee said he wants a style similar to like Phil, you know, so we can brush it across, hide that hairline a bit more. So we're as honest as we can be every time you come in. If you want something slightly what we would outside our wheelhouse and outside what we would recommend, it is up to you, but we do tell you the consequences of having these things. Lee said he's more than happy to go ahead with that. So I'm going to go cut a little bit off the system, make it fit a bit better for you, Lee.
Yeah.
And then we'll be back putting it on.
Super.
Right, so as you can see, I've put the template inside out and the system, so you can see what we're going to have to cut off. Like we said, we don't usually recommend doing this, but because Lee promises he's going to keep it as tight and as clean as he can on you having a front messy look, we're going to take his word and do it for him. So all I'm doing is I'm just tracing the outside of the template. Sorry if I'm a bit quiet, I'm just trying to not cut my fingers off. With a straight razor. You can use other things, obviously other people, sometimes we use scalpels if I can find one, but today I couldn't. So what I'm going to do is try to trace that hairline as close as possible. Take the excess and throw that away. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm just pushing the template down because it can bobble a little bit when you're not attached to anything really. A little bit thicker there. Try to keep some tension on this lace as well when you're doing it, because you don't want to snag much more than you have to. Try to keep it as neat as possible. And also by keeping it tight, you can eliminate a lot more of the darker sections in what we talked about, like the little dots, because what you're doing is you're cutting actually between the hairs more so than through the hairs, if you get it right. And when there's a little bit more back here, unfortunately I'm going to have to do it a bit cack-handed. But there you go. So as you can see, I've cut the system front lace as close to the template as I can. Right then, so we cut Lee's hair, we've got it all shaved down a little bit. We're going to put him in the basin and shave his head properly in a bit, but Lee said at home he struggles to get the template, which is why he's been struggling with glues and things like that. So what we're going to do for Lee today is we're going to make him another template take home, so he can basically do this at home, put this on his head, get his hairline roughly where he wants it. His wife's going to be able to cut round and shave it for him. So hopefully it'll make everyone's life a bit easier for him at home.
Yeah.
Stop all the arguments. So I actually don't need that, to be fair. What I do, over the top, Lee can hold this side for me. So we twist this side. Struggling this one. There we go. We get it to roll. So if you could hold back side for me now, Lee.
Yeah. Got it.
Do the same this side. Basically all we do is twisting it. Get it to roll nice and tight. And then hold this side for me as well. So then we get our markers. We like to do it a bit more colour coordinated, so I'm going to do the same for Lee so we don't forget which side he's got to put on the front. So we always look for 4 fingers for a forehead. Round about there. I always do it a bit like this. I don't know why people do it differently. I like to do dots, and then connect the dots to the hairline. Not corona, I promise.
Yeah,
Quite good with it. You've got a little freckly mole thing on the
yeah,
side
I've got
there.
the marker
So
on.
I know exactly where I'm going for this hairline. I'll put an F there for front.
Yeah.
And we do the same thing at the back. All we're doing is we're just tracing around the area. We've already cut it out, so it's not so much of a trying to figure out where the hair loss is, like when you come with your consultations. And then plenty of sellotape basically. I will start in the middle and run it as back as far as you can. And we always overlap. You want to create like a hard shell almost. So basically we do that all the way across, and we do it across this way, and then we cut it out. You can take it home and cut it out yourself.
Thank you.
Right, so we're just going to put on the hairline now, and then I'm going to take it out, stop getting ready to tape it up. So all we do is we're looking roughly for that forehead where we're going to put it. Roll it back a little bit. Get that nice and tight. I'll come back a bit. There we go. So we always look for roughly 4 fingers. Some people like it a little bit more, some people like it a little bit less. It's just personal preference. As long as you don't put it in like frown lines, you'll be sound in terms of like, let me just quickly do these lines so I know roughly what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to lift and do a few dots. This is more for me when I'm fitting them, just so that when I roll it back, I know if those 2 dots are touching, that I'm going on straight, not going back on the skew width. But when I said about your lines being roughly in where you need them, if Lee was to raise his eyebrows for me, Lee's got some creases here from like frown lines. So as long as we're not down here, we're sound. Because all that'll happen is it just lifts that lace every time you talk, you frown, anything you do will create a tiny little lift. So as long as you're above them, you're sound. Okay. So there we go, we're ready to put this one on. I'm just going to go tape it up and we'll be back. Right, so we're going to attach this one now. We've taped it up all the way around. Just going to show the camera a little bit. Taped it up all the way around. I've also put a little block in here because the template wasn't quite right for him, so I reckon there might be a little bubble. So we're going to get that stuck. So what we're going to do, we're going to find where Lee wants his hairline, which we've already done. I've got to try to put masses of there. Try to get it right for him. Head back for me slightly, Lee. There we go. So we get it just behind those dots. Like so. Then roll it, that's bang on. A little bit of tension because we want it to stretch a little bit so we can get any kind of bumps and lumps out. Leah let you know it probably feels a bit tight and a bit like I always explain it to people like wearing a baseball cap.
Yeah, it pulls, doesn't it, sometimes, but not.
So I'm going to take a tiny bit more hair out of his back. So we stretch it a little bit. happens quite often. Okay. And roll it down. I managed to get that bump out as well. So then get a towel over the top. My mask's falling down as well. Mask. And just literally rolling those edges down like we do with everyone. You've glue, tape, whatever. We always do the exact same. With tape though, we do push a bit more on the hairline, whereas with glue we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just because we don't want to, if there's any damp little tiny dots or wet, we don't want to push it through the lace if we can help it. The next step is cutting it. So what I do, take off sections, cut it into a style. Unfortunately, you're not going to see it in the video because it'll be from the back and I can't hold it and cut it. But we'll get it all blended in and I'll come back when we cut more of the front.
So what's that then? A razor to just cut off the excess?
Yeah, so basically we always razor all the edges.
Why'd you do that, not scissors?
So scissors tend to leave a blunt edge, or more of a blunt edge.
Okay.
You can obviously not leave a blunt edge with scissors, but it is a lot of chipping in.
Yeah.
So literally, instead of cutting hair like that,
yeah,
you have to cut hair
right, okay,
like that. But to take massive amount of length off and do that, it's really time-taking. I mean, you're talking probably double the time.
Yeah.
So I always find it easier just to do what I do is section it, use it with a razor because you also get that really nice like blend line.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
With your system as well, because it's not like one made for you, we are going to use a little thinners a little bit, but most of the time we don't need to use thinners that often because obviously the hair's built for that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just one of them. Like you just get like a better edge. It just makes everything a lot easier. Obviously, I will use scissors in a bit, like once we cut the fringe at the top, because most of the length's out, so it's not such a hard task of like, right, chipping into this for like an hour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just going to brush it around a little bit. We're just putting a little bit of just basically actual conditioner that you would shampoo your hair with. Just put it in to like soften the hair a little bit, give it a little bit of heaviness, to take some of the bit of extra bounce out. Obviously systems start with a bit of extra bounce over a couple of weeks, they tend to die down, as Lee knows.
Yeah.
But obviously the first week or two you've kind of got to live with that. So as you can see, we have to create a different hairline for him. But as you can see, still looking good. He's gone for the swoosh, Phil swoosh look as well. But that looks good to me.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
Yeah, very.
Cool.